Cowboys going in there. I've got people telling me this is a statement game for Dallas. This is the biggest regular season game of Dak's career. Do you see it that way? Oh, we're having some trouble this morning. I assume I'm not the only one who doesn't hear him.
Nope,
right?
don't hear him.
No, don't
Yeah,
hear
so
him.
we have some issues. I'm so sorry. We're having some technical stuff today. We'll get that worked out with Swagoo. Lewis,
Yes,
I'll ask
sir.
you the same question.
Yeah.
Is this the biggest game of the Cowboys and in its own way maybe of Dak's regular season career?
Yeah, I think it is because, look, we're talking about levels with Dak now, right? Look, Dak's always been a good quarterback, but he's taken it up a level over the past 4 weeks. Look, they've scored more than 40 points in every game except for one. It was against Philadelphia and against San Francisco where this offense really didn't put up the 30-plus type of point production that they are accustomed to putting up. And I think right now, look, if you go back and you watch that first game, he played as good as you could possibly ask him to play against Philadelphia. It was about finishing. It was about making sure that receivers are running routes to the proper depth. Dak not stepping out of bounds when he's going in and making sure the ball crosses the goal line. It's about the little things. He did not fundamentally break down in that first game, but it's about finishing now. And I think what you have seen him do is he's established a lot of the habits right now that are befitting of a guy who is worthy of being an MVP candidate, and he needs to finish the deal now.
Kmart, I understand that the narrative is all going to be about Dak needing to prove something, but the way I've had people in here talking about Philly ever since that game on Sunday, and the way the Philly fans are all up in my mentions and Hembo over there and the rest of the negative Philly
All up in your
posse,
mentions?
all the they are
up in the mentions.
They are up in my mentions, telling me, Sirianni needs to be fired, and this guy and our coordinators stink, and all this kind of. They act like this is a measuring stick for Philadelphia more than it is for the Cowboys. Who needs to prove something to Kmart Sunday?
Oh, well, Dallas needs to prove something to Kmart.
Okay.
No, because think about it. The Cowboys have won 14 straight at home, second longest streak in franchise history. But they've played exceptionally well since that loss to the 49ers. That 49ers loss was almost like a TKO. Like, they just took that ass whooping and had to go home and said, okay, cool. But losing to the Eagles after that, it was sort of like, oh, that's the best shot? Okay, bet. Like, we can keep up with the champs. And I think the Cowboys are playing different. Dak is playing different. And that's why it's always about the moments for the Cowboys. And they have an opportunity because the Eagles opened the door just a little bit. They have an opportunity at home to show, hey, we are not just a team that can win this division. We're a team that can actually get to the Super Bowl.
What do you think, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I would say this. When you think about the Eagles, they didn't play their best against Dallas. And all Dallas fans are like, well, look, we can play with them. Well, the Eagles didn't play great either, right? And so from their standpoint, they're going, we didn't play our best and we still beat them. Their biggest issue is coming off of what happened with San Fran. They're not worried about the Cowboys. They're worried about San Fran. That's where the Eagles' mind is. It's a must-win for the Eagles because of what just happened. As bad as they played in the second half against San Fran, they were physically dominated. And I think from the Eagles' perspective, if you look at the way they found ways to win throughout this entire season, it all leads back to physicality. They need to go show not only the Cowboys but themselves where they stand on that.
That is going to be the deciding factor. That's where the levels are coming right now in the NFC in particular. That's where, look, San Francisco has established an identity over the past 3 years of being, like, seriously, it's a different level when you play this football team from a physical perspective. I don't care what you think you have in your arsenal as far as your playbook, your situational clock management. If you cannot match the intensity that football team plays with, you have no shot. And no one has shown that they can do that really right now.
On offense, on defense.
Everybody who, when they're playing at their very best, you're still a level below San Francisco right now.
Yeah. We will talk about the Niners in a minute because their biggest and meanest star had some fascinating things to say about that matchup. But I do have Marcus back. So, Marcus, let's take our Cowboys hat off here. And you describe to me, because the conversations have been fascinating this week. Cowboys are sort of going this way. Eagles, despite having the best record, people perceive them to be slightly moving in the opposite direction. Who needs to prove something to you this Sunday at the game in Arlington?
Yeah. It's Dallas, G. And I understand where Jeff is coming from with Philly coming off the San Francisco loss, but we came into the season talking about moments with the Dallas Cowboys. We've seen them win 12 games 2 years back to back. We've seen them have success offensively before. It's about how they play in these particular games. And I think Lou alluded to it. It's about Dallas and who they are to themselves, right? If the way we looking at the NFC picture, if you can't compete with Philly and you can't compete with San Francisco, you can't win a Super Bowl. You can't get to where you want to be. And the critical talk coming into this season was about Dak Prescott. The one thing Dak has done this year is answered up until this point if he can be the reason why Dallas wins games. The way he's playing right now, he can be the reason they win games. But ultimately, and I hear the San Francisco thing came up. I'm going to tell y'all this now because Lou is absolutely right about the physicality and they playing on a different level. The only way you beat San Francisco is if your quarterback plays out of his mind. That's what history tells us. History tells us Patrick Mahomes had to play out of his mind to win this game. It tells us that Matthew Stafford had to play out of his mind to win that game in the NFC Championship. It's about 4. It was about him when he came into the season. It's going to be about him then. And we know that teams are going to make plays, but your quarterback has to be the difference when you play the 49ers.
San Francisco has got it on lockdown. Did you see them walking into the game in Philly the other day? All of them in black.
It's like a Matrix.
Trent Williams was talking about this. Listen to what he says.
A couple weeks ago, I already knew I was going to come all black. Like, I knew that was going to be my mindset. My mindset was going to be, it's time to kill. We're going to a funeral.
Okay, literally, I'm scared sitting here.
I'm the kill.
I'm not playing. I'm not involved in this in any way.
They are different.
And they all showed up. You said that they weren't even organized.
So in addition to Trent Williams, Fred Warner talked about this on his podcast with his wife, and he said, I knew I was wearing black, and you show up. We didn't talk about it, but we all showed up in all black, and that shows. Fred Warner said that's how you know we are all locked in. Deebo showing up with the Air Force One cleats. He was on demon time. Like that, this team is different. They are scary. I love the 49ers.
I just love that the biggest star is Trent Williams.
Yeah,
That's my favorite part about it. Right? Like, that dude got people turning their back and running. Like literally, we saw a play this year where the defense turned his back and ran away. That gets me hyped. I'm like all the rest of it, but they are. You saw they took that personal. I think they took it personal from the NFC Championship game when they had to use 4 players to play quarterback and them not get to that Super Bowl. I think they took it personal and they brought it with them.
So look, Lewis, here's the thing. We are going to make a big deal, and rightfully so, of Cowboys-Eagles on Sunday. It is a monster game. It has monster implications. But if I'm the 49ers, I'm sitting back and saying, yeah, that's cute. But we played both of you this year, and we won by a combined score of 84-29.
Yep.
Is this thing the San Francisco Invitational in the playoffs?
Look, anything can happen any given Sunday. I get that, right? So we have to put that out there. But if they're healthy, if San Francisco's healthy and they don't have any kind of major injuries to any of the key positions, yeah, it is the San Francisco Invitational. Look, these guys play on a different level from a physicality standpoint, from a mindset standpoint. You sit in a room and you talk to Kyle Shanahan, and then you talk to Deebo, you talk to Fred, you talk to Trent. I remember 3 years ago, us going out there and doing a Monday night game between San Francisco and LA in San Francisco. And I remember Kyle Shanahan talking about the fact that, look, how many football teams in the NFL, from a physicality standpoint, the tone is set by your number 1 wideout.
Right.
It's not your middle linebacker. It's not your Ronnie Lott type safety. It's not Jack Tatum type safety. It's your wide receiver, and it's Deebo. And he's the guy who, when they come out of the tunnel and they're all dancing and they got the boombox, Deebo's the one who everyone follows. That right there tells you it's a different kind of atmosphere out there. And when you turn on the tape and you just watch it, Jeff, you can hear the life coming out of defenders offensively, the way they set the tempo.
And now, there was a time I wanted to propose that we have a feature on this show called Ask a Question and Duck. Because I'm going to ask a question, and I fear I need to duck because I think I know what the response is going to be, but I think it needs to be asked at this point. The 49ers look in every way like the best team in the league.
Yep.
Are we totally convinced the quarterback is ready for that moment? Are we completely convinced that Mr. Irrelevant, I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
Duck,
you know what?
Duck.
In a game against Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, is Brock Purdy ready for, if they need him to win it, are we 100% sure he's ready?
What do you mean if they need him to win it? What does that mean?
If it means this becomes a game where it's back and forth.
No, I got you. I got you. So
Here's
here's the question that I ask everyone out there, right? So in the Super Bowl a couple years ago when Patrick Mahomes was going up against Tampa Bay and they needed him to win it.
Yeah.
He couldn't do it by himself because he was missing some of his guys, remember?
Understood.
I mean, so
the offensive line.
Okay, so as long as if Deebo's there and Brandon is there, Ayuk, and Kittle is there, and Trent's still there, and Christian's there, yeah, he'll be able to make the plays and get the ball to the right people, whether that be a tunnel screen, whether that be a little Y stick, whether that be a 7 route. He will be able to do whatever you ask him to do. If Brock Purdy had been drafted in the first round, we wouldn't even ask that question because people are holding it against him and they just don't want to believe.
Right.
They don't want to believe. They don't want to believe.
But if Brock Purdy had been a different person, he would have been drafted in the first round.
Yeah, but you know what? So it's Tom Brady also, right?
I get it. And so
it can happen, folks. So just accept it.
I duck.
Accept it.
Greeny, why are you on demon time today? Why?
I'm asking the question.
Because here's the thing. The
55 seconds left.
The kid is on pace.
No, I'm asking. 55 seconds left. Ball on his own 20 and 1 timeout.
Right.
Do the Niners win the championship with him at quarterback?
Right.
Yes.
Let me say this, though, let me just say to your point, to give you some credibility. I will say this. If the Eagles had scored 2 touchdowns instead of kicking field goals in the first half or the first quarter of the game, that game looks different. And it's not just because of Brock Purdy. It changes their offense. The way you would have to beat San Fran is to force them to come from behind, right? That's how you limit, because whether you like it or not, football flips, right? When it's 14-0 as an offense, you feel pressure. So you start to try to make plays. Play callers call them different. All the things that get exposed under pressure, but no team has been able to do that in or the bigger ones, with the Dallas and Philly.
20 seconds to yell at me. Go ahead.
I don't know what more you want him to do. People look at him and say, oh, well, he's benefiting from Yak. He literally is benefiting less from Yak than Patrick Mahomes in any of his 2 MVP seasons.
He's brilliant. What has he started? 20 games in his career. That's all I'm asking.
What you're asking is, does he have the kind of metal, the mental metal to be able to dial in the most crucial moments? Yes, he does.
The Bears are going to have those 2 high picks this year. Should they keep Justin Fields, or is it time to move on?
Yeah, I think you got to keep Justin Fields for now because, again, similar to Pittsburgh, there's just so many questions around the play caller and whether or not they're putting him in positions to succeed. That's not to absolve Justin of some of his own issues, which he has some right now, and he hasn't developed at the pace that he needs to. But there's a lot bigger issues going on around there. Like, how does Tyson Bagent look one way when he's playing and the offense looks one way? And then when Justin gets out there, it looks like, Justin, just drop back and do something.
Right.
It looks like it has like all these wide receiver screens, the lack of play action. I'm going, just wait a second. From week to week, it's so inconsistent from a plan of attack standpoint. I don't know how the kid can really settle in.
Understood. But doesn't it, if you're in a position to draft, let's just say Caleb Williams, with the first pick in this draft, and the contractual feature that goes into all of that as well, starting the 5-year clock. It feels almost like a no-brainer that they would do that. No,
I don't know if it's a no-brainer because, again, you have to take into consideration, Greeny, what's going to be around Caleb Williams.
That's right.
Who's to say that the structure and the atmosphere around Caleb Williams doesn't wreck him?
Well, that's
you know
fair.
what I mean. And see, and we talk about that. But sometimes I think we forget it when we're just trying to boil it down to a simple decision, meaning, is it this guy or this guy? It's not as simple as that. And again, I'm not saying Justin has developed at the rate that I expected him to because he hasn't.
Agreed.
And I'm on the fence. It's getting close for me. It's getting real close for me.
In fairness to Justin, how many different systems has he been in?
Where's
the consistency? When you derail the progress, we can't then kill the kid. Why isn't he developing quicker? Now, I think they should keep him. My fear is they will move on because in this world of, you know what, I think the kid just needs a different change of scenery. We need to move on. But again, to Lewis's point, what are you putting around the next kid that you bring into Chicago?
I hear, but the contract is such a huge factor in these things these days, right? I mean, you're getting Caleb Williams for a fifth the price that it's going to cost you if they make a decision on Justin Fields long-term almost immediately. Let me get a quick word from Marcus on this. What do you think? Is Justin Fields going to wind up being? I feel like this is really the more reasonable question because the contract skews everything. Is Justin Fields going to wind up being a really good starting quarterback somewhere in this lifetime, Marcus, yes or no?
Yes, I believe he can be, and I believe it needs to be out of Chicago. And for his sake, as well as the organization, and I get what Lou and K. Martin saying about the next quarterback, but they did it with Justin. They went and got the next quarterback from Mitchell Trubisky. And I know that Chicago may be scoring, but remember, it's a new GM in there. The head coach is probably going to have some questions about him as well. I think this is a complete redo. And you just retool and restart from the beginning if you're Chicago. Justin is a part of the kind of old, stale part of what we've been talking about the Bears. So I think it's time to move on and just start anew.
He has too much talent to think. Like if you go get Marvin Harrison Jr. and put he with Moore and start to work on that offense, install an offense similar to what Philly is running or what Indy is running or what you telling me Justin Fields with all the ability and capability that he has, you can't put a system together that he would be better in. I mean, and now you're going to restart with a rookie. I'm just going to let you know, all rookies don't turn out to be C.J. Stroud. Like, don't believe that hype either, bro. There's a lot of really good ones that we think are all world that turn out to not be. It could be Fields, but at least you know what you got.